Something has been shifting in your nights lately. For many spiritually aware people, the first sign of a portal opening isn't loud. It's quiet, subtle, easy to miss. You may have noticed it already, even before reading this. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means Neptune has just turned retrograde, and the veil between your conscious mind and your soul is growing thin. Pay attention to what tonight is trying to show you, why your dreams have suddenly become vivid again. There is a reason this shift is happening after dark, chosen ones. Neptune does not work in daylight. Neptune works in the space between waking and sleeping, in the hush, right before your eyes close, in the silence your logical mind can never fully control. During the day, your world is loud. Notifications, obligations, other people's opinions of who you should be. Your conscious mind stays busy defending itself, organizing itself, proving itself. But at night, when the noise finally drops away, something ancient in you opens like a door that was never fully locked. This is why, right now, in this Neptune retrograde window of July 9th and 10th, you may have felt your evenings turning inward without asking permission. A pull towards stillness. A restlessness that isn't anxious but expectant. Like your body already knows a message is arriving before your mind does, and that message is arriving through your dreams. If your dreams have suddenly become vivid again, almost cinematic, almost too real to be just a dream, you are not imagining it. Neptune rules the subconscious, the imagination, the unseen layers of reality that logic was never built to measure. When Neptune turns retrograde, that energy doesn't disappear. It turns inward, sinking deeper into you, surfacing through the one place your ego cannot filter or edit, your sleep. You may have dreamed of water lately, oceans, rivers, rain against windows. You may have seen faces you haven't thought of in years. You may have woken up feeling like you lived an entire lifetime in 8 hours, carrying an emotion you cannot name, but cannot shake either. This is not random. This is the veil thinning. For thousands of years, mystics did not fear this kind of night. They prepared for it. They understood that the soul does its deepest work when the analytical mind finally stops arguing. Ancient dream temples in Greece, meditation traditions across Asia, indigenous dreamtime practices around the world, all built around the same quiet truth. The soul speaks clearest when the world goes dark. So if last night felt heavier, longer, stranger than usual, if you woke up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing for no clear reason, if a dream from years ago suddenly resurfaced out of nowhere, this is your soul, using the one open channel it has left, trying to hand you something you have been too busy to receive in daylight. The question is not whether this is happening to you. The question is whether you're awake enough, right now, to notice it. The difference between overthinking and receiving guidance. Here is where most people get it wrong, chosen ones, and it's worth slowing down for. Not every thought racing through your mind right now is guidance. Neptune retrograde has a shadow side, and that shadow side is confusion disguised as insight. Overthinking feels productive. It feels like you're solving something, but overthinking loops. It repeats the same 3 worries in different outfits, keeping you awake, keeping you spinning, convincing you that if you just think harder, clarity will arrive. Guidance doesn't work that way. Real guidance, the kind Neptune retrograde is trying to hand you, arrives quietly and only once. It doesn't loop. It doesn't argue with itself. It feels less like a thought and more like a knowing, a single clear sentence that lands in your chest before your brain even finishes catching up. If you've ever had a moment where you suddenly just knew something, without evidence, without reasoning it out, step by step, that was Neptune. That was your soul, not your ego. The problem is, most people are unknowingly blocking that download. Here are 3 ways you might be doing it right now. First, scrolling before sleep. Filling the last 20 minutes of your day with other people's noise, other people's opinions, other people's curated lives, leaves no space for your own inner voice to surface. The download needs silence to land in, and you're filling that silence with static. Second, forcing an answer instead of receiving one. When you demand clarity on command, you push your logical mind into overdrive, and Neptune retrograde does not respond to force. It responds to surrender. The harder you grip, the further the message retreats. Third, dismissing the message the moment it doesn't make sense. Sometimes the guidance arrives as a single image, a name, a feeling with no context yet. Most people brush it aside because it isn't a full sentence with a bow on top. But chosen ones, spiritual downloads rarely arrive fully formed. They arrive in fragments, and it's your job to trust the fragment enough to sit with it. So tonight, if your mind starts spinning the moment you close your eyes, pause. Ask yourself, is this a loop or is this a message? A loop repeats and escalates. A message arrives once, calm and clear, and then goes quiet, waiting for you to notice it was even there at all. The portal is open. The question tonight isn't whether the guidance is coming. It's whether you'll recognize it when it does. The nights that feel like they last only minutes. If you've been waking up at the exact same time every night lately, 2:22, 3:33, 4:44, you are far from alone, and it is far from coincidence. Spiritual traditions across the world have long referred to certain nighttime hours as thin hours, moments when the boundary between dimensions is at its weakest. Astrologically, during a Neptune retrograde portal like this one, that boundary grows even thinner. Your body, tuned more finely than your conscious mind gives it credit for, senses that thinning and pulls you awake right at its peak. Not to disturb you, but to invite you into it. This is not insomnia in the way you might assume. Insomnia depletes you. This kind of waking, if you pay attention to it, doesn't leave you drained. It leaves you alert, present, almost like you were gently tapped on the shoulder rather than yanked out of sleep. Some chosen ones describe it as waking up already mid-thought, as if a conversation was happening somewhere just outside their awareness, and they were pulled back in, right at the moment it mattered most. If this has been happening to you, don't fight it by forcing yourself back to sleep immediately. Sit up, breathe, notice what thought or feeling was present the second you opened your eyes. That fragment is often the very message this portal is trying to deliver. And then, there are the other nights, the ones that feel like they lasted only minutes. You close your eyes at midnight, and it feels like you blink, and it's already morning, yet somehow you feel like you traveled somewhere far during that blink. These compressed nights are common during Neptune retrograde because time itself feels different when the veil is thin. Neptune doesn't operate on clock time. Neptune operates on soul time, and soul time doesn't move in straight lines. You may wake up from one of these short, fast nights feeling oddly clear-headed, oddly lighter, as if something that had been sitting heavy on you for weeks simply isn't there anymore. That is not your imagination. That is integration. Somewhere in that compressed, fast-moving night, your soul did quiet work your conscious mind wasn't there to witness, releasing something old to make room for what's arriving now. So if your nights lately have felt either stretched impossibly long or strangely suspiciously short, know this: both are signs the portal has already reached you. Your body is sinking to a rhythm deeper than the clock on your nightstand. You are not sleeping poorly, chosen ones. You are being recalibrated. Why you suddenly crave silence and solitude? Have you noticed yourself pulling away lately? Group chats you used to answer instantly now sit unread for hours. Plans that once excited you now feel like static you'd rather avoid. Even people you love, people who mean well, suddenly feel like too much, too loud, too fast, too much for the quieter frequency you've been living on. This is not you becoming cold. This is not you becoming distant for no reason. This is Neptune Retrograde asking you to come home to yourself. During this portal, your soul is doing rare, delicate work, sorting through old beliefs, softening rigid identities, quietly asking which parts of your life were built from your own truth and which parts were built to please, to fit in, to avoid conflict. That kind of sorting cannot happen in noise. It cannot happen mid-conversation, mid-scroll, mid-distraction. It needs stillness the way a photograph needs a dark room to develop. So your body, wiser than your schedule, starts pulling you towards silence on its own. Maybe you've caught yourself sitting in your car a few extra minutes before going inside. Maybe you've started taking longer showers, longer walks, longer pauses before responding to a text. Maybe the idea of a loud restaurant or a crowded room, something that used to sound fun, now sounds unbearable. This craving for solitude is sacred, chosen ones. It is not isolation, it is incubation. Every major spiritual tradition on earth honors this instinct. Prophets withdrew to deserts and mountains before their clearest revelations. Mystics took vows of silence not to escape the world, but to finally hear the parts of themselves the world had been drowning out. You do not need a mountain or a monastery. You simply need to stop apologizing for wanting quiet right now. The danger is not in withdrawing. The danger is in withdrawing and then filling that silence with guilt, worrying that you're being antisocial, worrying that people will think something is wrong with you. Don't. This chapter of solitude has an expiration date, and when it lifts, you will re-emerge lighter, clearer, and far more certain of who you are and who deserves a seat at your table. For now, let yourself want less noise. Let yourself cancel the plan. Let yourself sit in a quiet room with nothing but your own thoughts, even if it feels unfamiliar, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first. The silence you're craving right now isn't empty, chosen ones. It's full. It's just full of something only you can hear. Why old memories and old faces are resurfacing now. Someone you haven't thought about in years has probably crossed your mind recently. Maybe they even reached out of nowhere, after months or years of silence. Or maybe it wasn't a person at all. Maybe it was a memory, an old apartment, an old version of yourself, a song that instantly transported you back to a moment you thought you'd long buried. This is one of Neptune Retrograde's most disorienting gifts, and also one of its most important. Neptune dissolves boundaries, including the boundary of time. During this portal, the emotional distance you thought you had from your past grows thin, the same way the veil between waking and dreaming grows thin. Old chapters you believed were fully closed suddenly feel present again, not because you're regressing, but because your soul is asking you to look at them one more time. This time, with the wisdom you didn't have when you first lived through them. This is not a sign to go backward. It is an invitation to finish something that was left unfinished emotionally, even if nothing changes externally. Perhaps that old face resurfacing is not asking you to reconnect. Perhaps it is simply showing you how far you've come since then, how much you no longer need what you once thought you couldn't live without. Perhaps that old memory isn't asking you to relive the pain. Perhaps it's showing you the pain no longer has the same grip it once did, and that alone is proof of how much healing has already happened, quietly, without your notice. Ancient wisdom keepers understood this pattern well. They believed the soul carries unfinished emotional business like unread letters, and every so often, life resends them, not to torment us, but to give us one more chance to read them differently, this time from a place of healing instead of wounding. So if an old name has been sitting heavy on your chest lately, don't panic and don't chase it. Sit with it instead. Ask yourself honestly, is this resurfacing because there's unfinished forgiveness here, unfinished grief, or an unfinished lesson I still haven't fully learned? Once you answer that honestly, even silently, even without ever speaking to that person again, something in you will loosen that has been tight for a very long time. Neptune retrograde does not bring back the past to hurt you, chosen ones. It brings it back so you can finally release it, consciously this time, instead of carrying it forward by accident. The one test. This portal gives everyone, and most people fail it. Every Neptune retrograde portal carries one final test, and almost everyone fails it the first time it appears because it never looks like a test at all. The test is this. In a period defined by dissolved boundaries, blurred timelines, and heightened intuition, can you tell the difference between illusion and truth without needing someone else to confirm it for you? Neptune retrograde has two faces. One face offers genuine spiritual downloads, real intuitive hits, real soul-level clarity. The other face offers something that looks identical on the surface, but is actually escapism, wishful thinking, or fear dressed up as intuition. Most people cannot yet tell these two apart, and so they either dismiss real guidance as just their imagination, or they chase illusions, believing them to be destiny. Here is how the real test shows up in daily life. Someone gets a strong intuitive pull toward a decision, and instead of sitting with it, they immediately ask 5 other people what they think, diluting the clarity until it disappears entirely. Someone else feels a wave of hope about a person or situation that has repeatedly hurt them, and mistakes that hope for a sign, when really it's an old wound speaking, dressed in Neptune's mystical language. The failed version of this test looks like abandoning your intuition the moment it feels inconvenient, or worse, following a fantasy simply because it feels comforting, rather than because it's aligned with your growth. The past version looks different. It looks like sitting with an intuitive pull in silence before speaking it aloud to anyone. It looks like asking yourself, honestly, does this feeling bring me peace, or does it bring me anxious hope? Real guidance brings a settled kind of peace, even if the message itself is difficult. Illusion brings a frantic, grasping hope, a need for it to be true rather than a knowing that it already is. This is the deepest gift of this portal, chosen ones. It's not just showing you your dreams, your memories, your need for solitude. It's training you right now to trust your own inner compass without needing outside permission to believe it. Billions will feel this shift tonight. Most will feel it and let it pass by, unexamined, chalking it up to a strange dream or a restless night. But you, reading this, feeling recognized in every word, you are not most people. You were meant to notice. You were meant to pay attention. And the version of you who passes this test tonight will not be the same version who wakes up tomorrow. If even one part of this video felt like it was speaking directly to you, the dreams, the strange waking hours, the sudden pull toward silence, the old face that resurfaced out of nowhere, that is not a coincidence, chosen ones. That is confirmation. You were meant to receive this message tonight, at exactly this moment, in exactly this portal. So before you go, I want to ask you something. Which sign spoke to you the most? Was it the vivid dreams, the waking at the same hour, the craving for solitude? Tell me in the comments below, because this channel is built for souls like you, souls who feel these shifts before the rest of the world even notices them happening. If this video resonated, hit subscribe, because more portals are opening soon, and I don't want you to miss a single one. Turn on notifications so you never miss when the next cosmic window arrives. And if you know someone who has seemed distant, quiet, or deep in their own head lately, send them this video. It might be exactly what their soul needs to hear right now. Thank you for being here, for trusting your intuition enough to click on this, and for being exactly the kind of soul this message was meant to find. Until next time, chosen ones, stay awake, stay open, and trust what the silence is showing you.